It's time for Hey Coach and the Nick Saban Show on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
He is so wide open, it's unbelievable. Touchdown, Alabama!
Hey Coach and the Nick Saban Show are presented by Alfa Insurance. Protect your car's home, life, and business with Alfa. Get a quote or find a local agent at alfainsurance.com. Also brought to you by Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealership today. Toyota, let's go places. Golden Flake, the official potato chip of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Yellow Hammer Brewing, Alabama's finest craft brewery. Everwood, the official treated lumber of Alabama athletics. And by Ford. For great offers on F-150, see your local Ford dealer. Proud sponsor of the Crimson Tide.
Throws far side. Intercepted Alabama.
Now, here's Eli Gold.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome in to Nick Saban Show. And hey, Coach, working with you on this Wednesday evening, getting away from tomorrow night, which of course was Thanksgiving. So we moved the show for this 1 week to Wednesday. Next week, we'll be back with our regular Thursday evening program prior to the SEC championship game. And we're glad you're with us here tonight. Hope you're getting set for an exciting and pleasant Thanksgiving day with friends and family tomorrow. Tonight, we're going to open up talking a little gymnastics with head coach Ashley Johnston. Then Gary Harris will be with us, the sports director from WVUA TV channel 23 in Tuscaloosa, and then Nick Saban at the top of the hour taking your calls and comments. If you'd like to be part of the show, feel free to give us a yell. The Yellowhammer Brewing Hotline is open at 877-202-BAMA. 877-202-BAMA as you're tuned in to Hey Coach and the Nick Saban Show, presented by Alfa Insurance. You can protect your cars, home, life, and business with Alfa. Of course, we've got all sorts of things going on campus now. Many of the teams getting themselves ramped up for the start of a new season, and you can keep up with everything Alabama with the Alabama Crimson Tide mobile app. It's presented by Cadence Bank, and it's available at the App Store and Google Play. Just download the Alabama Crimson Tide mobile app now. It is absolutely free. Again, this is Hey Coach, live from Baumhauer's Victory Grill, the official watch party location of the Crimson Tide, and it's coming your way right here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield. back, everybody. Hey, Coach, and the Nick Saban Show, live from Baumhauer's Victory Grill here in Tuscaloosa. It's all presented to you by Alfa Insurance. And we'll remind you that this segment of Hey, Coach is presented by Royal Furniture, family owned and operated for 75 years. Royal Furniture has locations in Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Memphis, and Jackson, Tennessee for your shopping convenience. Ashley Johnston, Gymnastics head coach, University of Alabama. Great to see you, young lady. How are you?
Great to see you as well. I'm doing great. Thank you.
Good to have you on the show. There's so much going on, but I want to talk about Luisa Blanco. Here's a young lady who competes for the university, but is now heading to the Olympics for Team Colombia. Tell me how that happens. How does that work out like that?
It's incredible. We are so proud of Luisa. I mean, to be an elite gymnast is such a hard journey in itself. And most gymnasts actually try to pursue the Olympics before they come to college. It's a unique sport in that. A lot of other sports try to go professional or seek that type of thing either during or after college, but gymnastics typically happens before. And so Luisa is really unique in the fact that she's able to manage training for both an Olympic pursuit and college, and to be able to compete at the Pan American Games. She came away with the highest all-around score from that competition, which qualified her to the Olympics for Team Colombia. And so it's an amazing accomplishment. We're so proud of her. We're so excited for her.
Sure. How does that work, though, when you have practice for the ladies at Coleman Coliseum or wherever you might be practicing on a given day, and she's preparing for both collegiate competition and the international world? How does she handle that? Is it different, or is the judging different? Are the exercises different? How does she handle that?
Yeah, funny thing, the judging is actually completely different. It's almost like a different sport.
Really?
And so it's judged under an FIG scoring system is what it's called. And I happen to be an FIG certified judge. So I'm one of only about 16 judges in our country that's qualified to judge at that level. And so that really helps us with her preparation and knowing the rules, knowing what goes into that training. And
does she work separately from the other ladies? How does that work? So everybody has their own goals. How do you delineate the time?
She is absolutely a superwoman for being able to do both. She trains during the team time, so she does her NCAA training, and then once she finishes her assignments, she is able to work her upgrades, work her other things that she needs to do for her elite track as well. So it's really her ability to be able to manage both is amazing, alongside pursuing a master's degree, investing in the community. I mean, she is an absolute rock star, and anybody that has come out to watch her in person, I'm sure, could say that as well.
A successful season, and then you take a look at the upcoming season. You have leaders, you have a veteran element on the team, and that's got to be a wonderful step in the right direction.
It absolutely is. We had 4 seniors last year that didn't think they were going to return for a 5th year. And so at the end of last season, we had Ella Burgess, Maddie Wallagora, Luisa Blanco, and Makari Doggett all decide that they wanted to come back for a 5th year of eligibility, which of course they got because of that COVID exception.
Right.
And so that was a huge win for our program to have them come back as veteran leaders alongside our 3 actual seniors, Shania Adams, Izzy Martin, and Cam Machado, who have all accomplished some great things during their time as well. So we really have 7 leaders on our team on a squad of 18, and they're doing just a phenomenal job right now.
You do have a young lady from Poland who has also come into the program. Tell us about her.
We do. So we have a transfer athlete, Natalia Pavlik, and she came from Pitt, actually. She competed there last year as a freshman and then transferred to our program this year as a sophomore, and she represented Poland on their national team during her time before coming to college, and she's been an amazing asset to our squad. It's really cool to have somebody come in from a different program that just brings another perspective. She really just has her eyes opened and looks at our resources and looks at her ability to pursue the things she wants to do here. And she's been really valuable to our team as a whole, not just what she brings gymnastically, but what she brings to our culture.
Ashley Johnston is with us. She is the gymnastics head coach here at the University of Alabama. Don't forget, Coach Nick Saban joins us at the top of the hour. Hopefully you can join in and throw a question or two in the coach's direction at 877-202-BAMA. That's the Yellowhammer Brewing Company hotline. Let's talk about your home schedule, because we're getting close. January 12th will be here before you know it. The Missouri Tigers, it's Big Al's birthday that weekend, as a matter of fact, so we're all going to be celebrating Big Al. But on a serious basis, where is the strength in the SEC? Who's going to be giving you your hardest time?
That's what's so hard. The parity is incredible right now in gymnastics. I mean, every SEC team is in the top 20 nationally. And so every team is going to bring their A game. Everybody is going to bring a challenge when they come in to compete at Coleman. And it's going to be a great matchup, no matter if it's Missouri, Arkansas, Kentucky, whoever it is that comes in on a Friday night. We're going to have to be prepared to go out there and hit at the highest level.
We've got a lot to talk about, and I want to go over some of the promotions, and so, because season tickets are still available, aren't they?
They are. Season tickets are available, and we've actually added a new option this year, which I'm really excited about. It's called Friday Night Heights and Bites. And so what you can do is, along with your season ticket, you can also purchase the ability to go to our dining hall, which is the exclusive dining hall that our athletes eat at. So you can come early, park smoothly, go on to our dining hall, eat a nice dinner, and then walk across the street to Coleman Coliseum for the meet. And so if I was attending the meet and not coaching the meet, I would definitely take advantage of that with my two little ones and be able to park easily, eat, and go over to the meet. It's a really great opportunity and really family friendly.
We're going to come right back. We'll continue with Coach Johnston, Ashley Johnston, head coach of the gymnastics team. But right now we have to break away for these messages, as this is Nick Saban's show and the Hey Coach program right here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield. And the Nick Saban Show, presented by Alfa Insurance. Protect your cars, home, life, and business with Alfa. And don't forget, with the holidays upon us, Thanksgiving tomorrow, and then the Christmas season just around the corner, remember that Bob's Victory Grill is ready to help you get through those party plans that you might have. You planning a party? Try Baumhauer's Party Ready Trays. From their fresh buttermilk fried chicken tenders to the homemade chicken salad, and of course, don't forget their award-winning chicken wings. Baumhauer's legendary fun, legendary food. We're joined by Ashley Johnston. She is the head coach of the gymnastics team. What you got going on tomorrow for Thanksgiving?
Oh, goodness. We actually have a pretty low-key day for tomorrow. My parents just recently moved down here to Tuscaloosa. I think mainly to spend time with the grandkids. I've got two little ones.
You, huh?
No, not me. It's definitely the grandkids. I've got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And so we're just going to spend the day together, probably go on a little hike and eat some good food and just hang out, which we don't get to do very often.
No, we don't. How difficult is it to, not that you're the first or only coach to have children, but how do you balance the time between being a mom and being a world-class gymnastics coach and judge and so on?
You know, I'm only able to do it because of the amazing support system here. And I will never forget when I initially came here over, a year and a half ago. And we made the move, and it was actually Sarah Patterson that the first thing she said was, "Don't worry, I'm going to help you figure out your daycare situation." Really? And I just love that because, of all the things that she has been so helpful and supportive with, she goes above and beyond to even help make sure that my kids are taken care of and in a place to help them grow up here in Tuscaloosa as well. So such a great community.
It really is. It's a great group of people who are quick to help out. Tell me, before we let you go, the upcoming Crimson and White preview meet is Friday, December the 8th. What's going to go on? What will the fans have a chance to do that night?
It is Friday, December 8th. We're trying to practice that as close as a meet as possible. So a fan, a supporter, they're going to get a really similar experience as what they're going to get for our 5 home meets from January to March. And so we'll have 2 teams, a crimson team and a white team, and they will go head-to-head in competing and testing out their routines so that we can be as prepared as we possibly can for competition season.
How many tweaks are made to a routine once you get to that point?
Oh, goodness, a lot of tweaks.
That many, huh?
Oh, a lot, yeah. Not necessarily skill selection, but so much of it is a mentality. And so there's a lot of not just physical preparation that goes in, but mental preparation and visualization. And there's a lot of tweaks and trial and error that we do from now until January.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful day with the family tomorrow, and all the best in this upcoming season. We're looking forward to seeing the ladies in action.
Thank you so much. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Ashley Johnston, she is the head coach of the gymnastics team here at the University of Alabama. This segment of Hey Coach has been presented by Roll Tide Jerky, Alabama's newest tailgate tradition. Proceeds from Roll Tide Jerky will help fuel Crimson Tide athletes. It's all coming to a store near you. Also available right now at RollTideJerky.com. Roll Tide Jerky, where passion and protein collide. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield. everybody. Time for the Everwood Performance of the Week, which this week goes to Bama swimmer Charlie Hawk, who last week set 2 meet records in the 200-yard freestyle and the 500-yard freestyle at the Tennessee Invitational in Knoxville. Hawk's meet record, he went 1:31:30 in the 200-yard freestyle. That's the fastest time nationally this year. So congratulations to Charlie Hawk and the Alabama swim and dive team for a great showing in Knoxville. And that's your Everwood Performance of the Week. Everwood is wood treated right. We're joined now by a dear friend, Gary Harris, sports director of WVUA 23 here in Tuscaloosa. Got the fan club with you here, Gary.
Feels good. Good to always be back. Eli, let me just say right off the top that it's a pleasure to be back up here with you. And I know I don't need to speak for Crimson Tide Nation, but I will and say that I think we're all just thrilled that you've been back in the booth this year, and for me to sit up here with you now here at Thanksgiving and is a pleasure. Now, Tom, it's a necessary evil.
Necessary evil,
but,
yeah.
But with you, both of y'all, it's good to be back.
You're very, very kind. It's great to have you with us, and this certainly is a big week. They all are big, but when you get the Alabama-Auburn game going, the Iron Bowl, they don't get any bigger than this.
Yeah, and I was thinking back on the times I've done this show, and more often than not, it's been Iron Bowl week.
Yes.
Because it's off, usually Thanksgiving week, and I'm local at WVUA 23, and so that's when Josh usually calls me, and it's worked out well to be up here for, arguably the biggest game of the season, every season.
Every season, yeah. But we've got lots to talk about. Gary will be with us. Of course, Coach Nick Saban will be here in just a few moments. If you'd like to be part of the program, feel free at 877-202-BAMA. 877-202-BAMA. Hey, folks, at the LSU game, Kelsey Allen experienced the Diamonds Direct difference when her now fiance pulled off the Diamonds Direct dream proposal. So our congratulations to Kelsey Allen. Diamonds Direct and Alabama Athletics wish you and your fiance a lifetime of happiness. We're back in a moment on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield. We're live at Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa. Let's pause 10 seconds right here for station identification. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network.
Hey, everybody. Alabama coach Nick Saban here.
This is the Nick Saban Show.
Roll Tide.
Live from Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa.
All right, blow the horn. Let's go.
Presented by Alfa Insurance. For auto, home, and life insurance, call Alfa.
Welcome back, everybody. Hey, Coach, and the Nick Saban Show. Live with you from Baumhauer's Victory Grill here in Tuscaloosa. So happy to have you along with us on the eve of Thanksgiving, and of course this weekend, the Iron Bowl, and we'll have that broadcast for you from Jordan-Hare Stadium. I'm Eli Gold, joined to my right by Gary Harris, sports director at WVUA here in Tuscaloosa. How long have you been at VUA now?
Long time.
Yeah. Was it like WDBB or something?
Well, I worked at WDBB back in the mid-'80s, and I was gone for about 12 years and came back. And when I came back to Tuscaloosa, it was actually News Channel 49.
Wow.
And then the university purchased the station in 2001. It became WVUA. And so this January, I'll have 22 and a half years with the university.
Really? That's remarkable. You know, and that doesn't happen very often in local media, and that's a tribute to you.
Well, I've enjoyed it, and, you know, I love covering Alabama, and once I got to 10 years and got vested, a little more incentive to stay. But it's, you know, listen, if you like covering sports, you know, especially college sports, there's not many better towns to be in than Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
No, not at all. That's exactly the truth.
Yeah, and I've got to see every, you know, year of this dynasty that Coach Saban has put together. And, of course, even though I wasn't as old, I still remember Coach Bryant's dynasty, too. And I started in TV. My first year in TV, Eli, I've told you this, was 1982 over in Anniston. So I covered Coach Bryant's last season.
And then Bill Curry. Well,
all the way. Well, then when I was out of the state, I didn't cover it. But when I came back, you know, covering Coach Fran and Coach Shula and now Coach Saban and get to be firsthand account of this incredible dynasty. It's been fun. So I couldn't leave.
I hear you. Well, we're glad you did. And tonight's Nick Saban Show, as always, presented by Alfa Insurance. Protect your car's home, life, and business with Alfa. And the coach has joined us here at the restaurant. And I'll tell you, it's so nice to see your whole family here in front of us. Children, grandchildren, of course, Miss Terry. It's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a time of year to enjoy family, Thanksgiving. Everybody should have a lot of gratitude for all the things that they have, the relationships and all the family and things that we have, that sometimes we think a lot about the things we don't have or the things that we want, but this is certainly the time of year to have gratitude for all that we have, and God's blessed us, and certainly thank him for that.
Yeah. Hey, one other question has nothing to do with anything except we've moved the show, of course, from Thursday to Wednesday because of Thanksgiving. Did you drive didn't you tell us you do the Ferrari on Wednesdays?
Yeah, Cedric let me ride in his car today.
Oh, he owns the Ferrari now?
Well, he drives it, so
I got you.
He drove me over here.
Did he? In the Ferrari?
Yeah.
That's all right.
It's a Wednesday car.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't drive it last Wednesday because it was raining, so it's a Wednesday car as long as it's not raining.
I hear you. Gary Harris, jump on in and join the conversation, sir. Great to have you with us.
Well, I will, Coach Saban. Good to be with you again. And this is the week that I usually draw for your show, is the Thanksgiving week. And so I know you get this one every year. But it is, you got one of the biggest preparations of the season, the Iron Bowl. You're balancing it with Thanksgiving. And some players can go home, some players stay here. So I just want to ask you, balancing the preparation, trying to give these guys a break for Thanksgiving, how does all that come together? How do you do it?
Well, I think that, you know, you can respect, and the time that you have with us is important to what do you choose to think about? What do you choose to pay attention to? All right, so when you're actually in the football part of it, you know, what's the plan? What do I have to do to execute the plan? That's the process of what you have to do. And then what's your sense of purpose, and why are we playing this game? Because we've created a great opportunity for ourselves. So you want players to focus on those things so they can stay focused on what's going to happen on the field. So you got all these things happening off the field, whether it's Thanksgiving, whether it's family dinner, which is important stuff. And then there's all the noise on the internet, and there's all the scuttlebutt out there about everything that's happening in this game for the last however many years. So, but that doesn't really have any impact on what happens in the game. You know, the focus on the plan, the process, and your sense of purpose and what you want to try to do. So it's all about what you choose to think about. And even though I'm going to enjoy Thanksgiving tomorrow with our family, and we'll have probably about 15 players over, because the players that are far away, the coaches have them over to their house. But that'll be an enjoyable time, and it's not really a time that we need to be thinking about the game so much. But there are a lot of times that we're going to spend focusing on what we have to do to be ready to play. And that's what we do in practice. That's what we do in meetings every day. So it is a tough balance, and some people have a hard time. But I think successful people and successful organizations have confidence in the process of what you have to do to be successful. And maybe that's why some people have long losing streaks, and some people have long winning streaks, and some businesses have long histories of success, and some have long histories of failures. Is having a process, and you have confidence in it, and you can stay focused on it, you believe in it, trust in it, and do it. And that's what we got to keep trying to do with our players, because you want to keep focusing on improvement, because you don't want to get complacent, you don't want to get selfish, and those two things can kill team chemistry faster than anything. And you want to try to peak at the right time, but you want to try to be a dangerous team, which you do that through focus and improvement and practicing well and creating good habits.
Coach, our first phone call of the night, no surprise. We've got Pee Wee on the line in Grand Bay, Alabama. And tonight's first question is brought to you by Alabama 811. And by the way, Alabama 811 is proudly supporting former Tide running back Kerry Good in his ALS fundraising challenge against a former Auburn player. So visit the Kerry and Gary Challenge. The address is kgchallenge.com. That's kgchallenge.com. We thank Alabama 811 for participating on that. And Pee Wee, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Eli. Coach, how are you, sir?
Good. Eli, how are you?
I'm doing well. Coach, first off, I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and especially to you, Miss Terry, and the rest of your coaches and their families for everything that you do for our players on this holiday, when the biggest majority of them are not able to go home to be with their families. What y'all do for our players is just fantastic about this.
I appreciate it,
that we really appreciate it.
Thank you, and best to you and your family on Thanksgiving as well.
All right, thank you, sir. This game right here, our offensive line has the opportunity to come into this game and pretty much control it by controlling the line of scrimmage and keeping Auburn on the sidelines for this game. As we all know, these guys can be really dangerous at times. They come up with some stuff that we've never seen before through the entire season for this game on offense and on defense. And I'm just curious, how is the offensive line continue to respond to their playing better and better each week, and their focus on this game? Are they locked in for this game?
Right. Well, I do agree that we're making progress in the offensive line, and we've played better and better as a unit, as a group. I think the execution has gotten better, the technique has gotten better, the confidence that they have in communicating and playing together has gotten better. And I think the whole entire offensive team has executed better and I think it starts up front with the offensive line, but the quarterback's, transformed, into being a very positive player, run and pass, and leadership on the field, which I think has impacted everybody in a positive way as well. But I will say this, this is a much more challenging front than we played against the last couple of weeks. They got some stout folks inside. And they play a very good system on defense, and they do a really, really good job of executing it. So this will be a real challenge for us up front. So it'll be interesting to see how the offensive line responds. But I do agree with you. If you can control the tempo of the game on offense, especially when you play on the road, and there's circumstances that can impact that. But when you can do that, I think it goes a long way in helping your team be successful.
Coach, we've got a question it comes from Walker in Dallas, Texas. He reads the Nick Saban Show columns on AL.com. He says, Coach, to my eyes, our tight ends continue to improve each week. Can you comment on how important this group has been to our overall offense? Roll Tide.
Yeah, well, I think I would agree with that statement very much in terms of, we basically have four guys that make a very significant contribution, to that group. And they all have roles that they're capable of, making significant impacts, but they all can do all the things that we need to do at that position. So they all have diversity as well. Mm-hmm. Like Amari Knobloch is a really good receiver, but he can block, and we can run the ball when he's in the game. And, CJ's a really good blocker, but he's a good receiver too. And, same thing with Robbie Ute. So this group has really, it's hard to run the ball if you can't have someone in the what I call the C area, which is the area outside the tackle, who has some power and can get some movement on people. And these guys have done a really, really good job of that all year, but they made a lot of explosive plays as well.
We're going to come right back. We've got a lot more coming from the coach. We've got Gary Harris from WVUA 23 here in Tuscaloosa. So don't you leave us now. We're just getting going on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
McClellan lined up wide of the quarterback to the left side. Milroe gets the snap, fires a bullet. Touchdown, Alabama. Jermaine Burton at the back line of the end zone.
Like those bullet passes right there. And that was 6 touchdown receptions for Jermaine Burton. And for Jalen Milroe, he's got himself a host of touchdown passes on the year, 19 of those and 12 more on the ground. I'll tell you, that combination has really matured over the course of the season.
I had no doubt about it. I mean, you look at Jalen Milroe, you mentioned of course, obviously, Eli, you've been calling games since the late 80s, but since I've been here, of all the quarterbacks that I've seen, there have been some good ones that come through here. I don't know that I've seen a guy improve as much during the course of a season.
Yeah.
He came out against Middle Tennessee, remember, and had a big game to start the season.
Sure.
And then I thought made some plays in the Texas game. Everybody looks at the turnovers there, but then after sitting out that South Florida game, it started obviously with Ole Miss, but you see the progression game to game. And, people talk about his running ability, and obviously he's a dynamic athlete, but his ability now to stand in the pocket, go through his progressions, make the throws, and the arm's always been there. When people would tell me Jalen Milroe can't throw the football, I would always argue with him. I'd say he can throw the football. His arm talent is there. I thought, of course, Coach may totally disagree. I thought most of the mistakes that he made were poor decisions more than not the ability to make the throws, because he was making throws in tight windows even, early in the season. But now the way he's playing, the confidence, he seems to know when to use his legs versus when to, stay in the pocket and go through his progressions. It's just been a dynamic transformation that he's made, and now those receivers are all catching the football. It's been fun to watch, and I'll tell you that. And when Alabama fans call my radio show talking about Milroe, I say, can you imagine get your fandom, and imagine being a fan of another school or opposing defensive coordinator, trying to prepare to face this guy.
Yeah. And Coach, of course, he's getting more time to work too. The offensive line has stepped up as the season has progressed.
Yeah, and I think that the entire group, we've made progress at every position. The running backs have played well all year long,
sure,
but their production has actually increased as we've improved in the offensive line. The protection has gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
The only sack we really had last week is we were really outnumbered. We should have thrown the ball hot. Jaden looked right at his hot and just didn't turn it loose because he thought he could make a bigger play doing something else, and then we couldn't block them all. So that really wasn't the line's fault. It's really a schematic thing that you just got to be able to execute. It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
So when you're in empty, you only got 5 guys to block. So if they bring 6, you got to get it out. So, but they're all playing blitz coverage too, so you can make some explosive plays sometimes. So, but I think everybody on the offensive team has developed trust in the system, in the things that we're doing, and their ability to execute it. And I think that has helped us tremendously. And, in the last few weeks, we've been a really, really productive offense.
Sure have. Gary, jump on in.
Yeah, Coach, this year, obviously, the Iron Bowl's at Jordan Hare. And Monday at your press conference, I found it interesting. A reporter asked you, I think kind of wanted to take you into the weird things happen there and all that type of stuff. And you just said, you know what? In my experience coaching here at Alabama, the team that's played the best has won the game. Period.
That's right. That's exactly how it's been. And, people talk about this stuff all the time, and I don't see it, because in the games that we haven't been successful in, we made the errors and didn't play well enough, and they played really, really well. And, even in the kick 6 game that everybody talks about, I think we had the ball like inside the 25-yard line 5 times and never scored a point when we were ahead by 7 points in the 3rd and 4th quarter, whether it was missed field goal, blocked field goal, penalty in the end zone after getting the ball to the 7-yard line, whatever it is. So that was ultimately what was the deciding factor in the game. But all those other things that happened before that were misexecutions, basically, and mental errors, led to that circumstance having a chance to have significance. Mm-hmm. So when you look at the whole game as a total and you analyze what you did, we didn't play very well. All right, so the team that plays the best wins the game, and that's what I've been trying to emphasize with our players. And when you get stuff in your head, it's the same thing I said before. People who lose think they're going to lose. People who win think they're going to win. People who think weird stuff happens. All right, and weird stuff doesn't really happen. You got to focus on what happens on the field. And if you focus and can stay focused on that, it's a tough place to play. It's a tough environment. But name the place in the SEC that isn't hard to play. Tennessee's hard to play. LSU's hard to play. It's hard to play at Texas A&M. It's hard to play everywhere you go. So you can't let that, like I said to the players, could you tie your shoes in this noise? Yeah, Coach, I could do that. Well, how come? Because all you're thinking about tying your shoes. Well, just think about playing what you got to do on the field, not about the noise and all this stuff.
Yep.
But when you start thinking about all that stuff and that gets in your head, then it leads to something real. And it's not really at all that at all. It's how do you execute and play on the field? How do you adjust? How do you execute and do your job? So, and preparation is a really, really big part of that, especially against a team like, P, we mentioned earlier, they do a lot of stuff on offense. They do a lot of stuff on offense, man. They got a lot of formations. They got a lot of adjustments. They got unbalanced lines. They got a lot of quarterback runs. They got 2 quarterbacks that can run. All right, so there's a lot of challenges that go into preparing so that you can play well in the game, and you got to be focused on that all week long.
Coach, we have a visitor right here at Bob Baumhauer's restaurant with a question for you. Hi there, young man. How are you?
Good.
Good. What do you got? What's on your mind?
So, Coach Saban, I admire your success and leadership in football, but as a young basketball player wanting to excel in my sport, what advice would you give me, or what advice would you give to a young athlete like me?
Well, I think for any athlete, it's the same thing. what's your goal? What's your aspiration? What do you want to accomplish and what you want to do? That's the first thing. Second thing is define what it takes to do it. All right, so what do you have to do this? What does it entail for you to be the kind of basketball player that you want to be? All right, then you got to make the decision, are you willing to do that? Are you willing to go work every day and do the things you need to do and take 500 shots a day like Kobe Bryant did or whatever, all right, so that you can be the kind of player that you want to be? And then do you have enough discipline to make yourself do it every day, whether you feel like it or not? How many times do you say, I don't feel like studying? How many times do you say, I don't feel like getting up today? Well, you got to choose to get up. You got to choose to study. You got to choose to go make the shots. You got to choose to work out. So people that can do that, they can reach their full potential. And I think if you choose to make that kind of commitment to it, you can do the same thing. But it's not going to just come to you. It's not going to come easy. And you're going to have to probably overcome a lot of adversity to be able to persevere and sustain it to get where you want to go. But are you willing to do that? Do you have a sense of purpose that will allow you to do that?
We wish you the best, sir. Thank you for being here today. Happy Thanksgiving. Coach, our second question from the Nick Saban Show readers on AL.com comes from Sam in Alexandria, Virginia. It says, hey, Coach, similar to the Tennessee rivalry, do you have to educate our younger out-of-state players on the history of the Iron Bowl, or do they learn it otherwise? We're thankful for you, Coach Saban. Roll Tide.
Well, I don't think you can be around here.
Yeah, and not get it.
And not get it. I mean, you answered the question for me.
Yeah. Happy to be of assistance.
Yeah. So is it come more natural to a guy that grew up in Alabama and knows that everybody seems to pick a side by the time they're 3 years old, and they grow up with that passion, which I think is great. I think it's great for our state. I think it's great for this game, and it makes it the great rivalry game that it is.
Sure.
So, and I think most of the guys that we recruit, understand that this is a big game because it's a national game, and everybody recognizes the significance of the Iron Bowl wherever you go. And then all you have to do is be exposed to this passion that people have on both sides, and it doesn't take long to get it.
Yeah, exactly right. Coach, we've got Joe on the phone in Hartselle, Alabama. Hello, Joe. Welcome in.
I just want to give you a quick rally. Tell you how much we enjoy you. We know how much the Bama Nations pray for you, and I ask them to continue to pray for you because obviously cancer knows no boundaries out here, guys. So let's keep up the prayers for everyone and be thankful for what we got.
Yeah,
Coach, right quick, your grandkids there tonight, I'd like to know what their favorite food Miss Terry's going to serve them tomorrow.
Turkey, dressing. We usually have ham, mashed potatoes, lots of gravy, cream corn.
Yeah.
I'm getting this rundown myself because, but we usually have a really good Thanksgiving, and we usually have a really big Thanksgiving because our family gets joined by, I think I already mentioned this, but like 15 players on the team, and it's good for the players to see, for me to see them not on the field being players or in a meeting being players, and see them in another environment. That's why I always like to have the players over and take them out on the boat, go tubing, whatever. And I think it's good for them to see me and our family, in a more natural setting, and see that we have a dog and we're just like a lot of other people.
It's interesting that you say that, but I guess it's got to be unusual for the players. They don't know, how to address you, how to kick back with you a little bit as opposed to being in a meeting room somewhere.
Oh, they do, believe me.
They figure it out.
They figure it out, and they're on me all the time. I mean, they were on me yesterday because it was a little bit cold, so, I got on one of them because they had, their tights on. Mm-hmm. So then they were all betting that I had my tights on. So I had to prove to them I didn't. They know how to get on me. Don't think they don't.
I hear you. We're going to come right back. We got more coming up from the coach, more from our special media guest, Gary Harris from WVUA Television here in Tuscaloosa. So don't leave us. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Marlon Taylor checks in for Chattanooga on the defensive front. Alabama now with Milroe on the give to Roydell. Nothing up the middle. He kicks it to his left. He'll outrace everybody. He is in for the touchdown. It'll be a 10-yard run for Roydell Williams.
His third rushing touchdown of the season as he posted a nice ball game last week. 7 carries, 52 yards and the TD. And Alabama went on to defeat Chattanooga 66-10. Welcome back, everybody. Eli Gold, Gary Harris from Channel 23 here in Tuscaloosa, and head coach Nick Saban. Let's go to your question, Gary. What you got on your mind now?
I got a good one. I think Coach is going to appreciate this and give us some good insight. You've always said football is a developmental game. Obviously it is. You recruited a high level 5, even 10 years ago. Guys came in with the expectation that they might have to be developed and wait and be patient. You've had a lot of examples. I wrote some of them down. Ryan Anderson, Brian Robinson Jr., Matt Jones, Rashawn Evans, Reggie Ragland, J.C. Hassenauer, Blake Sims, guys that waited their turn. Then they got their opportunity, played well, and most of them wound up in the NFL. Now with NIL and with the portal, guys don't always want to be developed. How big a challenge is that once you sign young men that you know have ability to keep them in the program until their time does come?
Yeah, well, I think that they want to be developed. I think that every player wants to be developed. I don't think players have the same patience in their developmental process as they once did. I think it was more the culture that, like, even back when I played, freshmen weren't even eligible, so it wasn't even a thought that you would play. And I heard Woody Hayes say one time when I was at Ohio State, for every sophomore that we have starting, we're going to lose 1 game. Sophomore, that means they were there in their second year. So the whole culture has changed. Now I think, players are more developed and more ready to play now than they used to be because of the kind of programs they come out of and how they develop at an early age. And people specialize earlier. I mean, back in the day, everybody played football in football season, basketball in basketball season, ran track or played baseball in baseball season, and they just played and competed, and if they were good and they liked the sport, maybe they got an opportunity to specialize when they went to college. Now, guys make that decision when they're in 7th and 8th grade, and they're working out and they're trying to develop So you get in lots of cases a guy that's more mature and more ready to play physically than what they were in the old days. I think everybody wants to get developed. I just think that we've created a system that you don't have to be patient. You know, not long ago, 5 years ago even, a guy had to develop in the program. So he had to work hard, he had to compete, he had to try to beat somebody out. And that's probably a good thing to help you be successful in life. Perseverance is probably somewhere up there pretty high in what it takes to be successful. So that was a good thing in that way. Now with more freedom to be able to say, well, I might not play next year, so I can go over here and play next year. I can go over here and maybe get a better deal or whatever. The emphasis is not so much on developing at one place, but I don't need to have patience to be able to develop, because I can go someplace else and develop and maybe play more quickly, which a lot of people and a lot of outside noise is saying playing will help your development. In my opinion, you only create value for yourself if you play well when you play. That's what I try to tell players. So even freshmen that we're recruiting, they'll say, well, I'd like to come play as a freshman. I say, well, I want you to focus on development. We'll give you every opportunity to play, but you're not really going to create any value for yourself, nor are you going to develop any confidence in yourself if you go out there and play before you're ready to play, which means you know what to do, you know how to do it, you know why it's important to do it that way, and you got confidence in doing it, so you're going to go play well, and you're going to create value for yourself. If you don't know those things, it can go the other way on you, because you're not doing what you're supposed to do and you're not creating value for yourself. So somewhere in the middle probably is the right place to be, where people have to make commitments and they have to see them through. I think that's probably a good thing to a point. But I also think that, when guys are in a situation where they could play and they're not playing and they can go someplace else and play and that can be beneficial to them, I think it's a good thing that they have the opportunity to do that. So somewhere in between would probably be perfect.
Speaking of the portal season is just a couple of weeks away.
Yeah.
You've talked a lot about with NIL and with the portal, and I guess they're trying to work on something, but getting a better system in place than what we have. Can that happen? Is there anybody to put that system in place to maybe tweak it a little bit, so in a couple of weeks guys are going to be leaving their current teams and jumping in the portal in a lot of cases and not even going to finish out the season with their current teams?
Yeah, well, none of that's probably a good thing, but it is what it is, and you have to manage it and, do the best you can. I think we had like 10 guys that didn't play in a bowl game last year, but the guys that decided to play pretty well. So that's what you got to stay focused on as a coach. So, look, my big thing is every competitive venue that you could name for me has some rules and regulations that regulate competitive balance. Whether you have a salary cap in the NFL, whether you have rules relative to if you have a losing record, you get to draft faster, you get to play an easier schedule next year. If you have a really good team, you draft later, you play a harder schedule next year. All those things are for competitive balance. That's why you have salary caps. That's why you have all these rules. Even though you have free agencies and guys can leave and do all that, they have contracts. We have no contracts in college, and we have no competitive balance. There is no salary cap. All right, everybody is, whoever wants to raise the most money and pay the player the most, they have the best opportunity to have the best team. So you've gone from a transition of what you call development of people who are supposed to be going to college, in my opinion, to develop value for their future, to a culture of where can I make the most money while I'm going to college. So everybody can have their opinion on whether that's good or bad, but my issue is some kind of way the players should be able to benefit, but they should be able to benefit equally at whatever Division I school they go to. In other words, just because School A over here has a bigger collective and is willing to pay guys more money, that gives them a better opportunity than school over here that doesn't have those same resources. So you're not creating a competitive balance. So the haves are going to get further over here and the have-nots are going to get further over here. But if you look at the NFL, if you ask what would be the perfect season for the NFL. It would be for everybody to be 8-8 when they go into the last game. And nobody knows who's getting in the playoffs.
Yeah.
All 32 teams got a chance to get in the playoffs. More fans, more TV, more everything is better. Everything is better if we have competitive balance. If we don't have competitive balance, then you don't have as many good games. You start to lose interest. People want to come and see the Tennessee game, the LSU game. People want to come and see this game this weekend when we play Auburn. All right, that's good. That's a good thing for college football. And we should have the same balance with all those teams in terms of how can you put your roster together and what restrictions and rules do you have and guidelines do you have so that everybody's got the same thing. I'm not saying we shouldn't be paying players. I'm great with that. I like the quality of life that we've been able to create it, but it's got to be done with some kind of parameter that controls competitive balance.
I hear you. Let's go to the phones, gentlemen. Corey is in Trustville. Hello, Corey. Welcome in.
Hey, Eli and Coach Saban, how are y'all doing tonight?
Doing great. How are you?
You know, something I've noticed about the Iron Bowl over the years is that you and your team have done a really good job of not getting it real chippy, unlike other rivalries. What have you been able to tell your players over the years that makes it where, even though the rivalry, you respect the rivalry, it's not getting too high and emotional and just letting the game come to you and not letting it get out of control?
Well, that's one of the things that we really try to teach players is that when you get emotional, you make poor choices and decisions. And every opportunity we have to teach players that by their actions, we use that as an opportunity and a learning experience for them. You want players to have an emotional edge to be able to compete. All right, but when you get emotional, you make bad choices and decisions, and you really don't have a brain. All right, so it's always my contention that half the people that are incarcerated probably wouldn't have made the decision that got them put there if it wasn't for some emotional decision. Normally, they wouldn't do what they did. All right, but they get emotional and they make a bad choice and decision, and now all of a sudden they got yourselves in trouble, and you can't take it back. Same thing with a guy that gets pushed and then he hits a guy back and he gets a 15-yard penalty. Well, you never can get that back, but that was an emotional reaction, right, not something the guy typically would do. So one of the things that we really try to do with our players, and we have a few that violate this, and it upsets me to no end, is you don't talk to the other team. You don't talk to the other players in practice. You don't dog the other players in practice because, that kind of creates an emotional sort of situation between you and that player, which can lead to emotional outbreak, emotional decisions. Somebody does something stupid, knocks somebody down into somebody else's leg, and you get a guy hurt or whatever. All right, so you want to play with emotion, but be under control in terms of your level of intensity and your ability to make good choices and decisions while you're playing and competing. So those are some of the things that we try to do to minimize that. But it still happens, and the more arrogant you are, probably the more it happens. I hate to say that. I hate to say that about any player. I hate to say that about any player on our team. But the more arrogant you are, the more you think you're being disrespected when somebody says something to you and you react poorly to it and bad things happen. So
we're coming right back. More from the coach and from Gary Harris right after this on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
to the punter is low, but he digs it out neatly. And it's booted away. Downs has it, spins loose, gets free, cuts to the right, and he is on his high horse, running all the way. Touchdown, Alabama, 85 yards.
Caleb down to an 85-yard touchdown on the return of the punt as Alabama goes on to post the big win over Chattanooga. Coach, normally we go to the top of the hour, but I understand that your schedule is tight and you've got to hit the doors here in just a moment or so. So I do want to give you a chance to make your final word for the evening. Presented by Mercedes-Benz, the vehicles are all electric. The feeling is all Mercedes.
Right. Well, I think the big thing that we're trying to do with our team, and I think everyone's support is certainly appreciated in this. It's been great this year. Y'all have had great patience with this team, and this team's transformation has been pretty astonishing to get to this point and create this opportunity. But to pay attention to what you have to do to continue upward improvement, to be a dangerous team. Your opponent really doesn't affect that. You affect it by what you control and what you do, what you think. And what I said before, what do you choose to pay attention to? And I think that's what our entire fan base needs to do. I know this is a difficult place to play, but, I also know that when we get there on the bus and there's a bunch of fans there when we're getting off the bus, there's a calming effect that goes with that when you're playing on the road. You know that you got some people there, you got some family there, you got some people that care about you, and that's really important. And it's going to be important for us in this game. Everybody's been fantastic all season long, and we just want to keep this team, sort of developing and continuing to grow and develop momentum and peak at the right time. And this is going to be a really challenging game for us, and we're excited about having the opportunity, and I'm excited for this team getting themselves in a position to have an opportunity to do this. So we're looking forward to a great game, and we're looking forward to all your support and help, and we're just going to go for it, man. We got to go for it, and we still got work to do. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. We appreciate it. We appreciate you, and I hope your family has a great holiday.
Coach, the same to you guys as well. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
That's Coach Nick Saban and Gary Harris, who is staying with us now.
Yep.
Until the top of the hour. You're getting overtime here, Gary.
Yeah, man, I'm good to be with you, Eli.
Well,
great to get up here with Coach.
Yeah, it's all, you always learn a lot, at least I do, and I love listening to what he has to share. This segment of the Nick Saban Show is brought to you by Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. With zero sugar and refreshingly delicious, is Coca-Cola Zero Sugar the best Coke ever? Well, find out for yourself. I think you'll agree it is. What does your schedule look like this week versus any other week? Do you produce additional packages? Do you do more than you would have for the game against Chattanooga, or is every game equally as important?
No, it's we're going to send a crew down Friday.
Okay.
And so we'll be live down there Friday night, and that's a little bit different. We don't go live as much from other away venues,
right.
But we will for this one. And then so we live Friday at 5 and at 10 and have coverage from that. So, yeah, I'd say there's more into this. And then, in fact, yesterday, Eli, my entire show was all Iron Bowl.
Right.
And now today I had some holiday basketball tournaments and mixed it up a little bit. But Monday and Tuesday was pretty much all Iron Bowl. Today I mixed it up. Tomorrow I'm off, thankfully, for Thanksgiving, and then then Friday, it'll be all Iron Bowl. I mean, I might, if there's a big breaking sports story or something, we might mix something in. But for the most part, people are tuning in Friday. If you're in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, the local sportscaster, you want to see Iron Bowl coverage.
Exactly. So, there's no question about it. We mentioned that you've been at VUA and its other incarnations for many, many years. How has the business changed over the course of the years, with now everybody having cable, which wasn't the case necessarily when all this began? How has the business changed?
Well, I think the biggest thing from a broadcast standpoint, Eli, and you being a play-by-play guy probably are not as affected by it as I am as a local sportscaster, is the internet.
Yeah.
I know you remember this too from your local TV days when we were growing up. I mean, local TV, local radio, that was it, man.
Yeah.
And you turned in to your local sportscaster to get the sports news. You didn't know what had already happened.
Exactly.
The biggest thing with the internet was right away you had to realize, listen, people already know what's happened. You've got to be able to give them some analysis. You've got to be able to give them some features. You just can't come on and give scores anymore because people already know the scores. And so that, and then it's just, it's kind of evolved to the point where there's so many people that have access now to be able to do what we do. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm saying we came up through, learning how to do it through local TV, local radio, whatever it is. And now because of the internet, there are a lot of people that they have an outlet, and if they're able to get a following, they can take viewers and listeners away from you. So that's been the biggest change, is understanding that there's a lot of different ways to get information, not just on your local television, your local newspaper, your local radio station anymore.
Are you then a sportscaster still to this day, or are you a content provider for your station's website?
Both. And I've been, to be honest with you, and my boss Steve DiOrio is here tonight. He'll know I've been slow to the internet, but I've really picked it up in the last couple of years and learning social media. It's both. I still consider myself a sportscaster first, a TV and radio sportscaster. And I still want to believe that people want to watch television and listen to the radio, but you have to be cognizant of the fact that if there's, whether it's a local high school coach resigning or being fired or whatever it is, that you can't sit on it and wait until your sports show. If you get it first, you've got to get it out on the internet or somebody will beat you to it. So I do both now. I'm constantly on my phone with social media updates and website updates, so it's both.
We're visiting with Gary Harris, sports director from Channel 23 here in Tuscaloosa. Hey, Coach, on the Nick Saban Show, presented by, Alfa Insurance. Protect your cars, home, life, and business with Alfa. When you talk about the audience that you have a unique situation in that you're here in Tuscaloosa, and every person at the university has access to seeing you immediately on your nightly newscast and nightly sportscast. Are you cognizant of that? Are you always thinking, well, I wonder what the coach would say if he heard this? Or do you not think about that?
I don't think about it that often. And I'll say this, even though the station is owned by the University of Alabama, we are a commercial station, and I have not ever had an issue with anybody trying to tell me, hey, you can't say this, or you can't say that, or you shouldn't have said this. So I don't even think about it. Now listen, my style. You and I've talked about this. I'm an old school sportscaster. The thought of just getting on there just to stir somebody up, it's not the way I do it. I'm never going to do it that way. I want to give the sports, try to make it interesting and entertaining. So it probably hasn't been an issue because I simply, even in this era of shock and you got to be first and you got to get a reaction, I still do my sportscast very similar to the way I did it 10, 15, 20, 25 years ago. So I still think there's a place for that. I think people want information. I think they want, I'm not going to say I'm not completely unbiased, but you know what I'm saying. I present it a lot of the ways that when you were on TV that you did it, and I still do it that way.
We're visiting with Gary Harris, sports director at Channel 23 here in Tuscaloosa. Coach Saban was with us, of course, had to leave a few minutes early, but we've got Gary and I sitting here reminiscing and talking and whatever we can do as a couple old guys sitting around here sharing some. What's the biggest story that you have covered?
My gosh. Well, even though I was 18 years old when I started in the TV business and I didn't know what I was doing, I guess right off the bat, I was working at Channel 40 in Anniston when Coach Bryant
passed away,
retired, and then passed away. So that was right off the bat. But and here in Tuscaloosa, obviously when Coach Sabin came, but one that was really unique was, and this is a little trivia. I called the only game. Tyler Watts and I. Tyler's first broadcaster. Your partner now.
Sure.
We did the only game that Coach Mike Price ever coached at Alabama. That was the 8A game.
The 8A game.
Yeah. We did it for television, and but when that happened with him. And that day when it was one of those surreal things, what had happened had gotten out. You knew that he probably wasn't going to remain the coach at the University of Alabama, yet we had, in essence, what was kind of like a hearing, and he got to get up and make his case, and it was the weirdest thing, seeing him there and his family there. He never even got to the season, and being there that entire day over at the Bryant Conference Center. and covering that was, from a sports standpoint, it was unique. I've never quite been through anything like that before or since.
I bet not. Hey, Coach, and the Nick Saban Show, presented by Alfa Insurance. Protect your car's home, life, and business with Alfa. You can get a quote or find a local agent at alfainsurance.com. What's your Thanksgiving Day ritual tomorrow, sir?
Well, since I'm off, and I know my mom's listening, I want to. She just got out of the hospital today. She's been in the hospital for several days, and my sister and I didn't know if we were going to be able to. She was going to be able to get out in time for Thanksgiving. Thankfully, she did. So I'm headed over. Well, my sister lives in Birmingham. My mom lives over in Northeast Alabama. So we're going to be gathering and spending some time with her and looking forward to that because. Again, wasn't quite sure she would get out in time and have, I would have gone to the hospital otherwise, but we're happy that she's home, so really looking forward to it. So it's going to be a family day for me.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, listen, I thank you so much for joining us. It's been a while since we've had a chance to sit down and shoot the breeze like this, and I wish you all the best, and thanks for being part of the show.
Good to see you, Eli. Thank you.
You too, Gary.
Thank you, Tom.
Care. That's Gary Harris, Sports Director of Channel 23 here in Tuscaloosa. We're coming right back with more here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield. locally in Alabama and serve to fans across the Southeast. What's on tap for the Tide? It's themselves and the Auburn Tigers. On Saturday, the 2:30 kickoff will be preceded by our airtime at 11:30 in the morning. You can listen right here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, and at the same time, check us out with the Royal Furniture Booth Cam as you watch us toil from Jordan-Hare Stadium. If you missed any portion of tonight's show, you can always catch it on demand on our Alabama Insider podcast. Download and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And a special thank you to Christopher Mobley, the preferred luxury clothing provider of the Crimson Tide Sports Network. A big thanks to Ashley Johnston, the gymnastics head coach, to Gary Harris from UA's own television station, WVUA 23, and of course, Coach Nick Saban. Our engineer-producer, Tom Stipe. Our studio engineer is Jerry Kelly. I'm Eli Gold. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. We'll be back with you this weekend from Auburn. So long, everybody.